The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ. Can you hear me?
Yeah, barely.
I'm looking at my meters and they're going way through the roof. So I'm like, I know my voice is going out there.
Well, it is hump day.
Oh no, it's Wednesday already.
Yeah, it's Wednesday already.
And of course, the news hasn't broken at all.
No, we continue to see the machinations of Fall River politics again. Courts are blocking the millionaire question from the state ballot. The city is now not going to hire the guy that quit his job to get a job.
Never trust anything in Fall River.
Politics,
Yep.
politics. He must have
peed somebody off. I'll tell you, you know, the Supreme Judicial Court Monday struck down the proposed Millionaires Tax.
Yeah.
Which is an extra 4% on anybody making over $1 million a year. Now, some will say, well, they're protecting the millionaires. I look at it this way. They're protecting the taxpayers because this just is the beginning. If the House and the Senate, and remember, your House and your Senate, our local delegation voted for this. Alan Sylvia, Carol Fiola, Paul Schmidt, and Michael Rodrigues all voted for this. This is the first in an alignment of more taxes. That's the problem that we have. There's never been a tax they won't create to nail it to the people. Never. Yeah. And this, you know, this Supreme Court ruling was a 5-2 ruling. So, I mean, that spoke pretty clearly. But what I think is going to be really interesting is there's an initiative petition pending, which is on the ballot, and it's a binding petition. Again, that, you know, that your state delegation is opposing.
Quote, unquote, binding. But those binding things are never really...
Well, no, because the marijuana issue was a binding issue. Once it's binding, they have to do it. And they want to roll the state sales tax back to 5%. I'm hoping that that 5% means top, maximum. So that the 0.75% that the city gets, they can't get.
We voted for it before. We voted for capital punishment that was on a question. And, you know, then the governor vetoes it, or the House, or the courts, or somebody. Listen, the thing's all, it's all politics.
It's rigged. It's rigged.
It is. It is. The playing field is definitely rigged, and you know, the little guy gets nothing. You know, the millionaires got, you know, they saved the millionaires some money, which is, oh, well, some people say, they got the money, let them pay. But like you said, the problem with that is that they do it to them, and that's what they like to do. They'll say, then a little guy says, yeah, to hell with him, he's got plenty of money. But the reality is they do it to us on a smaller scale, like, you know, no sales tax holidays. No, you know, we were supposed to lower the sales tax how many years ago?
I know.
Now, and it didn't get lowered. And yet, you still re-elect them and let them go back up to Boston and tuck it to you every time you turn around. They don't have any sympathy for anybody on either end of the spectrum. They try to divide the people within the spectrum so they can prey on you. But the reality is, there's not one of them up there who cares about the taxpayer. City level, state level, federal government level, who cares? They spin their wheels with partisan politics, and you know, and they find these little things to talk about. We've got the opioid crisis, we've got this, we've got that. On a federal level now, we got the separation of children, and everybody's outraged. And, well, you know, bottom line with that is that you know, you can go from the ridiculous to the sublime. If you want to forget about the fact that these people came to where they are illegally, tried to enter this country illegally, you're actually probably doing those children a favor, keeping them where they'll be fed and housed. And granted, they're going to be separated, but the reality is the parents were the people who brought them. And, you know, what's the next step from the ridiculous to the sublime? Are we going to stop incarcerating criminals? They are criminals. They're illegal.
We're already doing that.
But you know, the thing is, when I watch that, you know, my mind, you know, sometimes I get far too much into it and extrapolating. But if you use that logic, think about it. If you commit murder, I guess they can't, you know, they can't really put you in jail. They have to leave you. They have to let you stay out because you got children, right? Because when you get imprisoned for murder or for some other heinous crime, they're ripping you away from your children and throwing you in jail. Why? Does anybody care about that? No, that's a different thing. No, this is different. Why is it different? I'll tell you why. Voting groups, voting blocks.
Libtards.
That's right. Well, that's what they do. Divide and conquer. Like I said before on a show, this country that once started as a melting pot has become a factionalized nation that they intentionally keep separated. They want all these groups separated so they can pander them for their political votes. The reality is everybody wants to do this so they can get the Latino vote. They want it now. One of my favorite governors, Raimondo, the woman that can't get the computers straight in her entire term, and now the state of Rhode Island's got a $24 million bill they have to pay because of a massive screw-up. She said she's going to refuse to send a National Guard because it's within her purview because she's the governor. And guess what? You're right. But, you know, I'd like to see a quid pro quo because, you know something? What the federal government should say is you don't want to send your National Guard to help the federal government. The next time you whine that you want federal money, we're going to tell you to tuck that request where the sun doesn't shine. See if you can run your state without federal aid. The next time you have a disaster, they'll send you a get well soon card. That's what you'll get. You know, and that's the thing. All they want to do is whine and complain and not do anything. They're not going to help federal law enforcement get illegals. They're not going to help anybody. But believe they'll be there with their hand out begging. No, they don't even beg. They're too arrogant. They demand.
They demand.
Demand. My state needs federal aid. Give me the money. Give me the money. But when you ask me to help you do something that's a federal law, they say, we're not doing it. We're not. And I don't even know if it's legal. You know, they tell police departments not to enforce the law. And the last time I checked, federal law supersedes state law.
Well, and you know, the Supreme Judicial Court ruled that the sheriffs can't detain illegal immigrants on a warrant from ICE.
Yeah.
So there's a lawsuit now pending against Sheriff Hodgson because he detained somebody for 3 weeks on a warrant from ICE. Well, you know what? It's a warrant from ICE. How can the courts restrict law enforcement? It's not, you know, you can't do that. Because if all of a sudden we can't enforce the law that's put in front of us because it's not politically correct, then guess what? It's not politically correct to enforce the law against a murderer.
That's the
or an opiate dealer.
We have discretionary law.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're in the right group, you can commit murder because we may make that discretionary for certain groups.
If you know, in Rhode Island, if you deal heroin, if you're a dealer and the person you deal it to dies, you get charged with murder and get a life sentence.
Yeah, but that's politically correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's politically correct to do that.
Correct. So the hell with the judicial system due process, because...
But we're shifting the blame. Guess what? The dealer didn't say, hey, here, put this in your arm right now. You have to do it. They came to the dealer and said, I need it. I need it. Here's my money. Let me have it. All the dealer did was supply their request. Why should the dealer be required to go to jail for killing them? Well...
Not that we're condoning.
Not that I'm condoning this, but again,
dealers. But the reality is that it is a choice, and regardless of what they want to say now, because everything becomes a disease. That's the evolution. First, it's a choice. Then it becomes a disease, and we put a label on everything in this society. We give it a label. You know, it started a long time ago with attention deficit disorder. Now just virtually 90% of the population of adolescents have attention deficit disorder by diagnosis. They make everything into a diagnosis now. The fact that you can't stop yourself from eating chocolate cake when you're in Greg's is now a disease. It's not your fault. You know?
Well, I can see that because, you know, Greg's is kind of addictive.
And as much as I am a victim of that disease, but I'm not going to kid myself. It's my choice. If I'm going to be there and eat apple strudel and chocolate cake, it's my choice to do that. I know that I shouldn't be eating that much of it, but I do because I like it. And guess what? I'm going to take full responsibility, which is something that this society doesn't do. This entire society, basically, we are right now, it's anarchy because there's no rules. Every rule is flexible. Oh, does it affect a group that's got a voting influence? Oh, well, and then again, well, we can't separate them. Oh, yes, but if it's somebody else, the hell with them. Throw them in Gitmo. Waterboard them. Don't worry, they're just average voters. They're not from a group that votes as a block. So the hell with everybody. And, you know, and we allow politics to go on as usual, and political correctness has gone to the point where it's actually affecting the safety of the people of the United States, because there's no law that can't be circumvented by political correctness.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm part of a voting bloc. Hemorrhoids United. Yeah. Because I'm such a pain in the keister, that's the way it is.
You're in a very, very, very group has become a minority. You're a taxpayer.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
You worked for a living and you paid taxes. So now you're in a minority group that is disaffected. Nobody cares about you. You've become perishable. You're a liability. You're a debit. And while we're on that subject, you see the news yesterday with the court case about the retirement system.
Yep.
When they didn't invest properly in a retirement system, and they're suing them, and they may
That's St. Joseph's.
And you know, because then I go back to Kathy Ann whining about in that Arbitrator's, when she testified about the unfunded pension liability, without mentioning the fact that unfunded pension liability was created by the city not investing the money properly. By the way, not this year, not last year, the year before last, when I went to the national convention, I actually attended a seminar by a bunch of lawyers who had sued individual retirement boards for lack of fiduciary responsibility and mismanagement of their investments, and they won. So guess what? You know, they might win that suit against, the diocese is going to say they might win the suit, but then they'll plead separation of church and state or something, or they'll say, you know, the Pope made them do it or something. I don't know. But the fact is that's the society we're in now. There's a backstory to everything, and the reality is there is a fiduciary responsibility. People in the retirement system work their whole lives, like they said about these people there. They've worked their whole lives, invested their whole lives in health care, and they turn around and now when the pension that they earned is fundamentally going to disappear or be nothing because of what? Because of fiscal mismanagement by the employer. But does the employer ever suffer? Absolutely not. Every single time there's been mismanagement of a pension system, the resolution has always been to screw the pensioner, to cut their benefits. Again, no consequences for government. What does government do? Government lies to us, it's politics. We lie to government, it's a felony. They mismanage, they're malfeasant, and what are the consequences for a government? Nothing. Look what happened in Rhode Island. They had to overhaul their entire state pension system. Who took it on the chin? And why did the pension system get in that position? Years and years of the state and cities skimming from pension systems and not paying what they did. But they're liable now. There have been court cases where they've been found liable for mismanagement, and I wish them the best of luck. Okay, you want to do the Housing Authority backs off on the hiring?
Oh, you want to switch over to that one? I figured you'd want to do the no trespassing order.
The no trespassing order. Yeah, that's another one that I'll go off on because they have a no trespassing order on citizens. I thought the last time I checked, I thought that that those buildings are public buildings.
Well, here's what Joe Macy says.
Oh, yeah, well, if Joe Macy said it, it's got to be true.
I know.
Okay.
But Joe Macy confirmed that the other incidents are recently at City Hall, including a man who dumped garbage. And you know who the man who dumped the garbage was? The guy who's got the signs up on Rodman Street. He's been summoned into court for disorderly conduct and littering. But Macy says, while government center is a public space, there is limited security in the building, and that given violent incidents around the country, the administration felt it had no choice regarding the no trespassing orders. Well, here's the problem with these no trespassing orders. They're denying citizens the right to attend public meetings, which could be a violation of Mass General Law 30A.
That's correct.
Okay, which is the open meeting law, which would mean that because this no trespassing order exists, or that there's two of them that exist, if these two people want to file complaints, they could force all the public meetings held within government center out to be held somewhere else.
Yeah, and not only that, look, okay, somebody dumped garbage, which I think is kind of apropos, actually.
I think it was a statement.
I mean, I think it was a political statement, and I think it was appropriate, especially in that place. There's been a lot of refuse floating around that for a very long time. But, okay, you know, so you're guilty of littering. So a citizen wanted to do that. I guess that our forefathers were guilty of littering when they dumped tea in Boston Harbor, too. So you can see where actions like that lead. You know, we did have people illegally dumping tea into Boston Harbor at one time, and it resulted in this nation. So there are people that are upset, and rather than say, why did this happen? Oh, bar them. And as you said, they're citizens, taxpayers. If they want to go to a city council meeting and behave themselves, they have every right to go to a city council meeting. They are the government. This is supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And by our state constitution, our favorite part of the first, Section 5, all elected officials and their magistrates are at all times answerable to the people.
But there you go, quoting the Constitution again. But can't
again,
have that.
Again, nobody really cares about that. And like I said, this is, well, so they bar them. Get away, I don't want to hear what you've got to say. It's just like when you go to citizens' input and they ignore you. You know, they're picking their nose, or they're having side conversations, or they're doing something else.
They're playing with papers.
And then they say, well, you know, we want citizens' input. We want to know what the people think. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't want to know anything. Even when they give you a written document like this arbitrator's award, you try to get out of it. You got city councilors saying, this got nothing to do with us. This is labor relations. No, yeah, you're right, it is about labor relations. But there's also testimony in here where the city administrator said the city was broke. And that term of that agreement went to June 20. As I said, go to page 5. And you, City Herald News has got this. Go to page 5. If not, get it. Page 5. Both parties proposed a 3-year agreement from July 1, 2015 through June 30th, 2018. So guess what? She can't say that
has nothing to do with right now.
Money, and not only that, even if for the sake of argument, they were only talking. But they weren't, because it's a 3-year contract. It's in there like 27 different times. So she's lying. You know, no, not misleading, just flat out lying. Making an absolutely incorrect characterization to hide the fact that they covered up the fact that the city, so they didn't have to pay somebody, but she got her pay raise. And also, you and I were discussing this after the show and on Tuesday and yesterday. You know, I may be a conspiracy theorist at heart. I truly believe, I know she knew that we were going to have this money. So she lied to the JLMC about the city's financial position. Whether that affected the ruling or not, well, I don't know. But the reality is, she lied about the financial position of the city. But the other thing is, if she would have given an accurate financial picture and said, oh, I'll tell you what, by 2018 we're going to be rolling in it. I mean, we're going to be so fat we won't know what to do with the money. We're going to have $10 million in the reserve fund. Guess what? When Sean Kadim echoed those historic words in the council chamber, we have enough money to pay for Durfee High School without further burdening the taxpayers with a debt exclusion. And it just fell on deaf ears because you had all the big money men, all the people that are saving their 4% tax, all the millionaires that were bankrolling that built Durfee High School with a debt exclusion, and they conned everybody into believing it was necessary. Guess what? It's not. You gave the city another $2 million to play with. And that debt exclusion is going to live with you for a long time. And it was unnecessary. The fact it's proven now. Kadim was right. It was proven by the words of the city administrator in this arbitration. And again,
and the voters were stupid.
That's right.
The voters were stupid once again. Yep. We told you that this was what's going to happen. We told you, and you didn't listen. You didn't listen. You bought the line of bull from Nick Christ and Bobby Karam and all these other people that said, oh no, if you don't do this debt exclusion, we can't build this high school. That was a load of crap. Yep. You bought the load of crap, hook, line, and sinker. You know what? They should be dropping piles of crap on your doorstep. Honestly, it's so frustrating that you people just don't pay attention. And you'll vote these same idiots back in after they've lied to you once again. Oh.
But remember, the bags are going to stay.
And speaking of bags, Thursday is the deadline for the city administration to add pay-as-you-throw revenues into the Fall River budget. The adjustments will mean about 9 months' worth of revenue and expenses for pay-as-you-throw for a total of approximately $2 million. You'll notice it went from 2.5 to 2.3 to 2. It keeps going down. Obviously, this program is a failure. Obviously, it's a failure.
And what did Rivera say? We met with the mayor and we are in agreement to resubmit appropriations to address the additional funds and the costs of bags.
Which means the mayor, even though he said he was going to get rid of these bags, lied to you. He lied to you.
No,
because he still has the opportunity to say, I'm getting rid of them.
Political bait and switch, he knew.
That's right, he knew.
You know, no wonder Steve Long supported it.
Because, hey, all liars have to support each other.
I have to disagree with the mayor on this, but not really, Steve. You didn't really disagree.
No.
The mayor wanted you to say, yeah, I'm going to force feed you the bag, so he could say, well, remember, everybody, when I'm running for re-election, I tried to get rid of the bags. It was that nasty city council that wouldn't get rid of the bags. Well, you still had a chance to get rid of the bags because you could just say, hey, this is the way the budget stands. You know, vote it up, vote it down. But you didn't. You just used that as an excuse to say, okay.
And, of course, we're waiting until the last minute. The next meeting on the budget is June 26th. 4 days before it's due. You know why? Then they'll turn around and say, oh, we had to approve it because if we don't, we'll go to a 1/12 budget, and we can't afford
yeah,
it.
that's a catastrophic thing, 1/12 budget.
1/12 budget, we can't afford it. And it's their fault.
Better to go into bankruptcy and receivership.
Because you know why? Do you know why they have to wait until the 26th? Because all this week, not every city councilor could be present. You can't be present to do your job, quit. You can't be present to do your job, quit. There's no explanation, no excuses. You know June is budget month.
Better to forget Kathy Ann's words that said we have the lowest bond rating of any city in our universe, and we had some cities that are a lot smaller and are a lot better off. But we have this, and remember what Moody's said, that the rating incorporates the sizable tax base with below average income levels and outsized poverty rates, high debt burden. We got too much burden right now, and
we're adding another $200-some-odd million.
And we're adding more. And they love to bond. And that's what I'm saying. People, wake up, educate yourself. What does a crappy bond rating mean? The same thing as your crappy credit rating. It means you've got to pay more. You're not getting the 1.9% finance rate when you buy a new car. When you walk into the dealership and you go, well, can I get the 1.9 credit rating? And they go, no. What's your credit rating? It's 12. You go, well, it's got to be 800 or better to get the 1.9. You're paying 37% for your car. Or you got to go to that, what is that thing there's one in Dartmouth. The one that they get.
JD by Ryder.
JC by Ryder. We finance anybody and repossess in 2 weeks.
That's right.
So, but I mean, you know, wake up. As I said before, the word bond should never be uttered in the city of Fall River. Not with a $507 million debt. 500,000.
And that's just to the pension.
And remember, I'm not even sure, that's without the pension added in. With the pension added in, it's nearly $1 billion.
Right.
And that they created. But I'm not even sure if that's accurate, because I would say it was probably, well, how long's Kathy Ann been a city administrator?
5 years? 5 years.
Well, it was more than 5 years ago that Sean Kadim sat in a room in Boston and testified to our delegation and to some senators that the city had a $500 million debt at that time. You're not going to tell me that debt hasn't increased. It's only increased $7 million? Come on. I think that's off. We're probably $1 billion in debt easy.
No, but that $507 million is is OPEB benefits.
Yeah.
That's what that is. Plus the $344 million for the for the pension fund. So that right there is almost $1 billion.
Yeah.
That doesn't include the amount that we've bonded.
Oh, yeah.
Because just think about it. We bonded $10 million for streetscapes.
Look, look, we were in receivership 10 years ago. That's why the word, and the way they play with money, that's why the word forensic is an expletive in city government jargon. When you mention the word forensic, they all run to the bathroom. So if that doesn't get you angry, if this kind of crap doesn't get you angry, I don't know what will. Stay angry. We'll see you on Friday, and maybe we'll hit 600 million in OPEB.
There you go. Have a great day, everybody. See you Friday. Stay angry.